Hello and welcome back to our podcast. My name is Len Foy, and I am unfortunately without my counterpart, Bree. This would be our third broadcast of Keeping Up with Len and Bree, but we are taking a brief diversion from that this week to do a business spotlight edition, and I'm so pleased to introduce our two guests today. We have Lynne Bjorgen with Vacant Home Staging and Design, and we have Nicola Mcallister with Alden Home Staging. Both of these businesses are based in Amherst, New Hampshire, and hopefully by the time this podcast is over, you will be very familiar with their work and with their businesses, and I hope that you will use their services because they are just extraordinary women. So why don't we just jump right in and get started?
Sure.
So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Len.
You're very welcome. Welcome,
Len.
Nicola. Normally we have Keeping Up with Len and Bree, and myself and Bree, we cover a variety of subjects, and we're going to resume that regular broadcasting in several weeks once the holidays are behind us. But I really wanted to take today and just basically do a business spotlight edition. And I've had the pleasure of working with both of you, so your businesses are businesses that I'm very happy to endorse.
Thank you.
Because I know the way you work and I know the quality of your work. So we don't really have a scripted formula approach to this podcast. What I thought we would do is just have a conversation about your businesses, and so you could try to tell myself and also the listening audience a little bit about what you do and what you have to offer. And hopefully by the time we're done, your phone will be ringing off the new business, or you will have at least raised the public awareness of you so that people are more familiar with your work. So just by way of introduction, and Lynn, will start with you, and then Nicola will have you jump in. Why don't you tell me just the most basic information about your business, the name of your business, how you arrived at the name of your business. I'm interested to hear that. How long you've been in business, what your background is, how many years you've been at it, and goals and objectives for, say, 2022.
Super. So as I've been in business, it'll be 6 years in January. What got me into business is pretty interesting. When we moved here in 2015, looking for our forever home, we looked all over the place. We went to every open house, and my husband could not vision any of it. So honestly, I contribute a lot of my success to my husband because he actually got me interested into this field. So yeah, I went to many dirty homes, many vacant homes, and realized that I could vision living here and that there was a need for home staging in the area. So really that's how I got started. I moved many times with my husband's career. We moved here permanently, and looking for that forever home brought me into this. So yeah, it's been great. I will say I mentored with somebody for 2 years out of out of Manchester, and then met Nicola, and we took some classes together and went out on our own after that in 2019.
Excellent. Nicola, tell me a little bit about your business, because I have always worked with both of you, and I think it's great that even though you each have your own distinct businesses, that you work collaboratively. I just assumed that you both were part of the same business, so it came as news to me to find out that you each have your own business, and I imagine you work independently at times.
Yes.
Yeah.
But let me just say this, and then Nicola, I want to hear from you. This is what I have noticed. This is one of the things that I've noticed from working with you both. You both have exquisite, extraordinary taste in design that to me speaks of a design, even a fashion background, and I don't know that you have that or whether you have that, but I am just impressed with how tastefully decorated everything is that you touch. And I will say too, not just in our office, but in our home. So we've entrusted you with with the design and the orientation and layout of everything. And we're going to get deep into your business. I know it's so much more than the cosmetic and the superficial. You actually do hardcore reorganization of homes and businesses, which is the meat and potatoes of this. But anyways, we'll get to that, but I just want to pay you that compliment. You both have extraordinarily good taste.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I mean, you could make a living in Manhattan or Paris or anywhere. I believe that.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
I know, right, probably a very good living too. Nicola, tell me about your business. I know less about your business than Lynn, so I really want to know more.
Yeah, I've been in the business for about 3 years, and I got into it after moving to New Hampshire. Like Lynn, I moved from Colorado. We were selling our house in Colorado, and I had a newborn, like a week old, and our realtor staged our house to sell it, and it sold really, really fast. And then when we came to New Hampshire, I realized that people didn't really do that out here. So I started doing it with one realtor, and it kind of took off from there, and it's been really enjoyable, kind of helping people, you know, see the vision of getting your house organized and getting it on the market and selling it really fast. So it worked for us when we left Colorado, and we're helping people out here in New Hampshire and Massachusetts, you know, sell their houses with just getting organized and staging it a little bit. And sometimes it takes a little staging, sometimes it takes more, but it's a fun business to be in. It's hard work, but it's definitely a fun business to be in.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think you can get, I mean, it's a couple of different things. It gets the seller maybe on their way towards removing the contents from the home, which they're going to have to do one way or the other. But also talk a little bit about the fact that the economic impact of it. You really can get more money for your home if you use a professional stager, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Up to 7% more is
Right.
the statistic, so that's
So-
fantastic.
That's good.
So
Yeah.
even somebody that's maybe opposed to it, although I can't imagine why you would be, it's like there's serious money on the table. Yeah.
I mean, we find that a lot of people like their stuff, but when we, you know, tell them how we work and how we know, I mean, everybody looks online for a house first. And if your house looks messy and dirty or cluttered, sometimes people just don't want to come and look at that house because they don't have the vision that, you know, that we would have to go in and just take out the extra chair, take down the family pictures, you know, move things around. And we do a lot with what people have in their homes, but then add a little fluff, you know, so it works. And it's our job to persuade the people, the customers, to, you know, see it from a buyer side. When they look for a new house, do they want to see a cluttered house? Are they going to go see the cluttered house? Probably not, you know. So it's just to help them. I mean, everybody loves their stuff, but I always say pack it in a box, and then when you bring it to your new house, you're going to love opening it and putting it in your new home, you know. So.
Right. Now, should somebody go to the extreme of emptying their home so that it has no contents?
I would
Obviously,
say
that's the opposite of staging.
Yeah.
So the answer to that is no.
No.
And then, because if there's nothing in the home, and again, like she said, the online photos are where everybody starts. If there's nothing in the home, you definitely cannot vision living there.
Right.
So we do have clients, though, that have moved on, and they've emptied out their house, and that's when we bring in a whole furnished home and stage it that way.
You both are so, just to pay you the compliment, you both struck me upon our very first meeting as very high caliber individuals in terms of your background, your education, poise, the way you carried yourselves, your sense of professionalism, dedication. So how did you two find each other?
At the hair salon.
It's as good a place to meet as any.
True
So,
story.
I mean, this is where the greatest relationships are forged. But talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, Lynn was in the chair, and I was. It's not all natural anymore, but our stylist Holly. It suddenly dawned on her that we both do the same thing, and she introduced us. We went for lunch at a very nice restaurant in Amherst, and we have continued to do that for like 2 years now. So it's been good. We've been good for each other. You know, it's good to have somebody else to bounce ideas off, and then we can help each other with, you know, if we're working on projects that are too big for one person to handle, then, you know, we joke about it when we move furniture. We do it in unison, and it just works. We know where to put it. But when we do with like family members, it's always like, I need Lynn to come over and help me do this, because we do it. It's like a dance, you know, and it just works. You know, it's been good to work together.
You probably need a little bit of a psychology background to do this, right? Because I know when Lynn came
That is
over.
my degree, actually.
I will say, in the interest of full disclosure, that Lynn came over to my house and wanted to pack all of my worldly goods into boxes, and I had something stronger than an anxiety attack, but not quite as strong as a stroke. So whatever, halfway between an anxiety attack and a stroke is what I had. But you have to deal with some psychology, right? Talk about the psychological aspects of this, from people dolling up their home to be appealing to people maybe other than themselves, to people's inability to part with worldly possessions.
Yes, yeah, and it's big. I will say, first of all, most of our clients are realtors that hire us to go to the home that needs some love.
Right. But even that being said, you still ultimately do have to interface with the end user, right? Or not?
Yes, well, we do. And what I'm trying to say is that we can be the bad guy for the realtor.
Good point.
The realtor wants to keep that relationship with the seller or the buyer in hopes of getting referrals.
Right.
We can come in, be the bad guy, and leave. And we don't have to worry about that referral from the homeowner or the seller or buyer.
You
but
can
that-
be the lightning
yes.
rod, and the realtor can
Yes.
maintain the sort of happy sort of,
Yes,
you know.
yes. So we come in, and yes, I mean, 9 times out of 10, it's a situation that we have to tread lightly, but at the same time, be the bad guy for the realtor and say, this is really what we highly recommend you do to put your house on the market.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but
And-
so there does a lot of psychology involved.
And
A
you would
lot.
be the bad guy because you'd ultimately be telling somebody that the color is wrong, or the furniture is wrong, or the room is wrong. Somebody's basically, as my mother used to say, your taste is in your mouth.
Yeah.
And that was not a compliment. But nobody wants to hear that. It's almost like a sense of humor. We all think we've got a good sense of humor. We all think we have good taste. But we couldn't possibly all have good taste, right? So
True.
there are some people that, you know, the home is just not, it's not going to appeal to a large or a broad
Right.
audience,
Yeah.
right? Because it reflects their idiosyncratic
Yeah.
sort of
Their
taste.
collections, their colors. We go in to neutralize the house.
Right.
So we appeal to multiple buyers, and
Yeah.
that's our goal. And that's what we tell the homeowner, that we want to appeal to as many buyers as possible, and we want you to have as many offers as possible. So this is what needs to be done.
What are the tricks of the trade? Put a few of your trade secrets on the table. What are some of the things you do to make the home more neutral, less idiosyncratic, more appealing to everyday people?
We would do everything from, you know, having them move furniture out and take pictures down, all personal pictures.
Why is that?
I think it's like you just don't want your family on display. You don't know who's coming into your home.
Good point. So there's a privacy issue.
There's a privacy issue. I mean, we even would suggest painting. Sometimes you go in and like there's a red dining room, and you know, if it doesn't look good in pictures, if it looks dark, you suggest maybe you could neutralize the wall color and just kind of and then just painting it a cream, just a basic cream, and just adding like flowers or some decor on the table changes the room completely, makes it bigger. I mean, everybody loves their stuff. I love my stuff, and I even know that when I put my house on the market in how many years from now, there's stuff that I need to do because what I have is what I like, but is it appealing when I put it on the market? You know, not to everybody, so I want to make it as appealing to everybody and get as many people through the door, and then get a higher dollar value, hopefully.
You'd love to focus group some of this stuff. You'd love to, like, if somebody, setting aside the privacy issue, that people don't want to put their family on display, do you feel that people that walk into a room that's adorned with family photos, either oversized family photographs or even small ones on coffee tables, that they take a position based upon the physical appearance of the people in those photographs, or that it's off-putting in any way, or is there anything to that, or is it strictly
I
for
don't
the
think
benefit
so.
of the people that own the home?
Yeah, I think it's for the people who own the home.
So people that walk into a room and see a lot of family photographs don't necessarily take a position
Yeah,
one way or the
no,
other?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
That's a good question, though.
Yeah, I just always wondered about it.
Yeah.
Like, if you walk into a room and you see a lot of photographs of the people that live in the house, are you less comfortable in the room because you feel like you're in somebody else's room?
I don't think so. I mean, when I bought my house, the family, it was their house, and I noticed some things in the house, and it kind of connected me to them, actually, their pictures, because they'd been to Ireland, and I was like, oh, they've been to Ireland, and that was kind of, a connection for me. But I don't know, sometimes people just don't like their family being exposed and putting pictures online and having their kids' pictures up, and the wedding photograph from 1972 might
Right.
not be as appealing to
But the bachelor party that preceded it,
Exactly, yes.
that winds up in the photograph.
Yeah.
What are some of the other, so we're gonna take down the family photo, and we're not trying to arm people to do this for themselves, because they really need to work with a professional stager. But I think there is a mystery. I will say New England was probably late to the party, because I think you're right. I think in Colorado, certainly in California, I think they've been staging properties. Well, I should ask you, how long have they, we're hearing about it in New England now. You're still probably talking to some people about it that don't completely understand it. Let's have some fun with this. How long do you think they've been staging properties in California?
Oh, goodness.
Probably years, a long,
Yeah.
long time. Yeah.
I mean, probably
20
easily 20 years.
Yeah.
20 years?
Yeah.
So 20 years ago in Beverly Hills, you called in a stager, you staged the property before you sold it, and yet here we are in New England. We're not always as receptive necessarily to what's happening nationwide. You're still maybe trying to sell people on doing it, or maybe sell realtors on doing it. Does every realtor do this, or are there still
no.
realtors that don't?
Many realtors don't.
Okay.
But what we are seeing is a trend for realtors to add it to their package. And it's wise.
Yeah.
It's very wise. I mean, if you were gonna sell your house, wouldn't you love to hear, oh, and by the way, I have a stager that will come in and, make recommendations of how to make your home look its best.
Absolutely.
Isn't that appealing?
Definitely.
Yeah. So we are seeing a trend of realtors adding it to their packages.
Yeah.
It's the single greatest investment that any of us will hope to make. Why would you ever leave any money on the table?
Such a good point.
You know? Now, the counter argument is, so here's the thing. So I'm Joe Q. Seller, and I'm going to say to you, or the realtor that you're working in tandem with, this market is so hot, I could be walking around in a clown suit at the open house and I'm still going to get top dollar.
Yeah.
So refute that argument, that this market is so good that these homes are selling themselves. I don't accept that, by the way. I still think there's money to be had, and actually I think the market's changing a little bit, so we're getting back into a more competitive and more dynamic
Yeah.
market. But what about the person that says that houses are selling themselves in these markets,
Well-
in this market?
Yes, we hear that. But again, our motto is make the online photos look their best. That is the first place that a buyer is going to look, is online. And so if you haven't changed your home at all, you may be crossed off the list.
Yeah.
If you've had a home stager recommend some things to do to your house to make it look its best, you will get multiple buyers. It's a guarantee. So yeah, so Joe that is like, I'm not going to do anything, he is going to get less traffic.
Yeah. His house will sit on the market longer, and if it's not appealing online, like Lynn said, people are going to be less interested in coming. I mean, they might come because there's nothing else to see, because everybody else is snapping up the nicer houses. But
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, I never really buy into those arguments. And anyways, anybody in business has to be in business for the long haul. We're not just in this business because the market's good.
no.
You'll make more money when the market goes bad, because then it's going to be more competitive and tighter,
Yep.
and people are going to have to distinguish their homes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so you could do better in that market, but we have to do well in every market,
Yeah.
whatever the marketplace is. I want to get back to some of the biographical questions. I love the dialogue. I mean, this is fascinating. But before I do, and I will, how do you sell your services? how do you increase your business? Is it an internet-based approach? Are you cold calling realtors? Are you showing up uninvited at open houses with business cards, which I've done all of the above? How are you getting business? How are you increasing your market share?
A lot of Instagram feedback, and people have reached out through that. And word of mouth. You know, one realtor shows a house and another realtor comes through and says, "Who staged this house?" And they send on your number to the next person. So a lot of word of mouth too. And I've, you know, sent out the bumper emails, and that's not as effective. I think meeting people face to face is more effective. Yeah, and then showing them what you can do, you know, and leaving your cards at the house that you just staged for any realtor that comes through
Very
if they want to
important.
pick it up.
Very important. I mean, I will say that one of the great things about this office is that, and I didn't want to be in a shabby little office, and I've spent most of my life in shabby little offices as a lawyer. We're famous for that. I wanted this office to be cutting edge. I wanted this office to be something out of Manhattan or something like that. It's just very fancy. But I wasn't able to take it the entire way without the benefit of your services. We receive compliments on this office on the daily, as people like to say. And we're quick to give you the credit that you're deserving of, because I really think you took it the rest of the way. You made our office state of the art. You gave our office a sort of a flair that we didn't have before you got here. So
Well, thank you.
these testimonials are so important, but I just want to say, anyone that's curious about these professionals and wants to know more about what they're capable of, just pay a visit to our office and you can see what they've done, and you can see that these offices feel light, they feel uncluttered, they feel like they could be the scene of intense productivity. You know, and that's what it's about from a work perspective. So that's the angle. Here on the residential staging, what you're trying to do is increase the profile and increase the sales, you know, potential for the home. These are fascinating issues. This is a good one. And we do have some questions, but this is not scripted, so we're letting some of this be just sort of spontaneous and extemporaneous, and then sometimes we're just getting down to some, you know, building block type issues. What services do you offer? We got to cover that. We can't leave that out.
Go for it.
So I will say our most popular service is called a pre-listing consultation. I've got you scheduled already for next week. I will go into a homeowner's house that's going to go on the market and give them a report of recommendations that I suggest for changing the look of their house to put it on the market. And whether that's, you know, moving the furniture, removing things, packing things, adding things, that's our most popular service. And again, that's probably the one that the realtors should get on board with, because we're the bad guys in that
Right.
regard.
Sometimes that's all a homeowner needs. It's just a little, you know, a list, a little honey-do list, and if they do it and they feel comfortable in it, then they don't need the full stage. You know, it's just the little ideas to get them on their way, you know.
And this consultation comes at a cost, I imagine? Okay. And then if they decide to opt in for more services, obviously
Yes.
they're
Yes.
going to pay more.
Right, so we, the next level is called an occupied staging, where the house is occupied, they've done the list that we recommend, and then we bring in what we call fluff, the accent pillows, the plants, the, you know, all kinds of good stuff, bedding, things that we think will make the photographs look outstanding.
But won't necessarily be disruptive or displace anybody or anything, because
Yeah.
they're going to continue to live
Yeah,
there.
Yes.
we like to work with most of what they have. I mean, if they have a, you know, a very busy comforter on their bed, we say, "Have you got a white one?" And they go, "Oh yeah, I do." So we'll just switch it out, you know. So it saves them money, and you know, it helps them. You know, it just looks different. You know.
Yeah, we try to definitely use their
Use their stuff.
belongings. Next level from that is vacant staging. So the home is vacant. We have one scheduled for next week. This is actually a house flipper
Okay.
that reached out to us, and we're just gonna stage a few rooms. We don't even have to stage all of them, but get the main floor stage So A, photos look excellent, and
Right.
B, when people come for the showings, they feel at home.
Right, they're not spooked by an empty house, which is like, what's going on here? You know, they
Yeah.
see, they get a little something, they get a little taste of what it could be.
Yes.
But it's not full blown.
Right,
A couple
right.
of empty rooms, which isn't
Yes.
gonna freak anybody
Yeah.
out.
And it's, you know, the whole house, if they post pictures and the whole house is vacant, it's very hard for people to visualize what kind of furniture and what size furniture and how much furniture
Mhm.
will go into this room, you know. So when they have a vacant stage and we put stuff in, it's like, oh, you know, the couch that I have would look great, you know, next to that window. And it just gives a better sense of sizing and how it will work for the next people that are moving into it. And if it's a flip, then it looks like a brand new home,
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
So
This
it
will be
just
fun.
adds a little oomph.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are you doing anything, I know what you're capable of on the interior, are you doing anything on the exterior of the home? Do you ever do anything? I don't know.
Well, we do like curb appeal for sure.
Yeah,
Meaning like plants and stuff, but in the winter, no,
right, can't do it.
we don't. And we definitely don't recommend decorating for the holidays.
I was wondering about
Yeah.
that.
No, because.
So I don't have to get up on the ladder and do the, you
No,
know,
Yeah.
Because.
Chevy Chase Christmas vacation?
Right, not everybody celebrates the same holiday.
Good point.
Yeah.
And
Good point.
the house could go past the holidays and
Right.
still be
Yeah.
on the market. Well, that's a red flag right there, that it's been on the market for a while, if there's still a Christmas tree.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
In the
Or pumpkins.
photographs.
Mhm.
So, we do organization.
Mm-hmm.
So go in, help people downsize, declutter, organize, store.
I feel that anxiety attack coming on again. No, I'm only kidding. No, it must be done. It must be done. Talk to me a little bit. This was all the rage a couple years ago, and when I heard about it, I was so confused. And then as people tried to talk to me about it, it fascinated me, and it fascinates me still. I hope I pronounce it correctly. Talk about either feng shui or feng shui. Let's get the pronunciation down, and then move on to the concept. It has to be dealt with, right? Because you've got to understand it. I've heard everything from don't have your bed up against the wall to you never want to be able to walk through the front door and see directly out the back door. The placement of mirrors, I know just enough to be dangerous. Is this a subject that you can speak to at all?
Well,
I work with what looks good in the room.
Yeah.
I don't do the whole feng shui
Yeah.
at all.
I guess it's all about flow. There's a
Yeah.
little bit of superstition involved. I guess with the front door and the rear door, you never want money to be able to figuratively sort of flow in and
No,
flow
okay.
out with any kind of ease. No, it's kind of an interesting subject to me. I have a feeling that even though you may not be working with the terminology of feng shui, you're probably implementing it, right?
well.
Is it all
it's-
about flow and energy?
Well, there's two different sides to the story, because we do work with clients on the design side to, change the look of their home, for
Mhm.
example, that are going to stay in their house,
Yeah.
the design side of it.
Right.
But to us, to me, function is very, very important, how the
Right.
house functions,
Mhm.
and comfort. Like, I want the family room to be comfortable, that the family wants to go live in it.
Mm-hmm.
But on the side of staging and preparing for the market, we don't necessarily focus on feng shui.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
It's interesting. But I have a feeling that it's the flow and the energy, you want to declutter, you want to remove obstacles, whether they're psychological or physical, you want to make the room have flow.
Well,
Mhm.
absolutely,
Yeah.
yes,
You
you're
know,
correct with that.
and
Yeah,
ut-
we want
and-
to
and
flow
utility.
through, yes.
I love this dialogue. It's vibrant. I want to get back to some questions, but before I even get into these questions, let's suspend the business discussion for just a minute and talk about personal background. Tell me a little bit about, before you got into staging, what's your background, educational, where'd you grow up? Just try to make an introduction so that people know more about you as the person behind the business.
Okay, so born and raised in Washington State,
Okay. Now, where in Washington?
southern,
Okay.
west coast, west side of Washington
Okay.
State.
Beautiful.
Family of, 6 siblings, it was fantastic.
Wow.
Loved it. I stayed in Washington State and went to school on the east side.
Mm-hmm. So after leaving Washington, where did you go?
To Dallas.
Excellent.
Yes.
So tell me about Dallas. That city fascinates me.
It's a beautiful city. Loved it so much. People take care of themselves, which is, to me, fantastic. They take pride in themselves. They dress nice. They keep things clean. But I was there for 9 years working with my sister. We did private personal training.
Wow. And again, we talked about this a little bit. Physical fitness, either achieving it or maintaining it.
Yes. Then I met my husband and moved to southern Texas.
Okay. So
Yes.
is this like Galveston or?
No, Del Rio,
Okay.
Texas.
Oh,
which is
wow.
currently in the news.
Yep.
But he was a pilot in the Air Force,
Okay.
and that just started our journey around the world. So
Now, did he fly in Vietnam or
No, he's not.
post-Vietnam? I never know. Sorry, I'm not trying to insinuate. Well, I'm that old. I mean, I was over there. Where the heck was he?
Sorry. No, he.
At any rate.
He flew in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Well, I think that's what I meant to say.
Okay. Thank you. But yeah, so our journey took us to Texas, to Arizona twice, to Korea, to Italy, and to Germany.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And during that
So
time,
you're well-traveled.
Yes, I feel well traveled. Loved it very much. Have 2 children. They were born in Italy. Now one's a senior in high school and one's a freshman in college, which is hard to believe.
Wow.
But yeah, so after all those moves, we decided to settle in New Hampshire, and this is where we are.
I love New Hampshire too. Briefly, what do you like about living in New Hampshire? I've got my own sort of list. What's yours?
Oh,
What do you like
many.
about this place?
So many things.
Mhm.
I love that it's not populated.
Mm-hmm.
I love the outdoors
Mm-hmm.
very, very much. I loved the simple life that it provides.
How about the cold weather? You okay with that?
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I say that every year, though. So my stay does depend on the weather.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mhm.
my family loves to ski, so
Mhm.
they're all about the cold weather. So
Wow.
yeah, I don't mind it.
Yeah.
I like the sunshine. It comes out quite often
It's
in
true.
my eyes.
Yeah.
No, it's true. I've been in the Midwest in the winter and stuff. We do get a lot of sun here. It's not like dismal and gloomy. And it's not as cold as it is in Burlington, Vermont, or Montreal, Canada. But it's certainly not as warm as it is in some other places, particularly the places where you've lived.
Yes.
Yes.
That's quite an adjustment. Nicola, what's your background? I'm fascinated to hear more about Dublin because that's where
Yeah.
all my forefathers come from.
Yeah, so born and raised in Dublin, Ireland, and I moved here to America 18 years ago. And we started, my first port of call was Seattle, Washington, with my husband's sister. We weren't married at the time.
I see.
And then we moved to Boulder, Colorado, and then Colorado Springs, which is where I learned my love of staging because all the houses, all brand new houses.
Oh, yeah.
And it was fabulous. And then he got a new job and we moved to New Hampshire in 14 years ago.
Yep.
When my daughter was 6 weeks old and we were coming for 3 years and she's about to turn 14.
Wow.
So
Straight
we-
to Amherst, or have you moved around the state?
we were in Milford and then Amherst.
Okay.
Yeah, when I first started looking online when we were in Colorado, because I had no idea where New Hampshire was or what New Hampshire was, I found Amherst and I'm like, that's where I want to live.
Mhm.
And we ended in Milford and then eventually we moved to Amherst and we love it. And I like the proximity to Boston because
Yep.
it's a quick flight home to Dublin, and I do it once a year and go home and see my family. So if we stay here forever, great. If my husband's from Arizona, so he likes the West. He
Yeah.
would like to move back out there, but we're here for now. And my background in Ireland, I worked in film and television. I was a distributor for film and television programming to broadcasters worldwide. So I loved my job. It was a lot of fun and traveled a lot with it. But I had to let it go when I moved to America to start my family, and I don't regret it. But it's good to have staging now because it's kind of a creative thing that I did before, and now I'm doing it again. So it's good. Yeah.
Well, you're in the right place because, of course, we have a very well-documented Irish population in the Northeast.
Yep.
I mean, it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
I was born in Lowell. There's a lot of Irish in Lowell, and obviously Boston, and this whole area.
Yeah.
I want to just complete this discussion of the millennials because, again, they've got this market power, they've got this market presence. These people want to buy homes, and they're ready to buy homes, and they're able to buy homes. So we've been waiting for that to happen. We've been wondering, they need to step in and fill the vacuum because so many other people are downsizing, moving to Florida, moving into a condo or an apartment, or even something beyond that. So the millennials are going to have to take up that slack. They're obviously big on technology, bigger than I think a lot of us, bigger than me anyway. So what else can we do? How do we prepare for them to continue to sort of rule this market? I mean, what can we do? What can you do as stagers to try to capture that and make sure that you're appealing to this demographic? Just a thought.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, for the couple that is ready to sell the big family home and move on, millennials, like, they have their careers and they're also starting to have children, and they want to be in the neighborhoods or in the towns that have good school systems. And we found that a lot in Amherst, that it's like a turnover. People are like, okay, I've raised my family, now it's time to move to Florida. And then the next family move in, and I guess they're getting younger, and the millennials are, so we like to, I'm sure, appeal to the millennials by, updating what you see on pictures before you start even going into the homes.
Yeah.
Another thing that really came into our business this year was the home office.
Yes.
So we
haven't even talked about the pandemic. I don't know how did we ever get an hour into this without talking about the pandemic?
Yes.
What are we doing right or wrong?
Yeah.
To talk about that.
Yeah,
please.
so we do tend to take a bedroom or a room and stage it as an office.
Yeah.
Because it's become such a popular thing, and maybe a permanent thing.
Yeah.
Because homeowners or buyers want to see, oh, where am I going to put my office?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you how many homes we go into that they're working from home. Those
Yeah.
millennials.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
And several members of my generation too. I mean, I was talking to somebody that works out of their garage. They've got a heated garage. They sit in the garage. They smoke cigars all day and do conference calls. Maybe I should give you their contact information. You can decorate their garage. Obviously COVID affected your business, right? Because now people are not working in downtown Boston anymore. They're working out of their residence, and that's where you could potentially come in to make it more effective, productive,
Yep.
right?
yeah, I had the best year I've had so far last year.
Yeah. It was busy.
And I do attribute that to COVID somewhat.
Excellent, excellent. This has been wonderful. So just for the benefit of our viewing and listening audience, we haven't even really scratched the surface of all of the different services that these two professionals have to offer and the quality of the work that they're capable of. And I can certainly attest to that. I've seen their handiwork not only in our office but in our home, and the results speak for themselves. And so your work is really extraordinary. I think there's going to be some biographical clips that are going to be done either subsequent to this or in connection with this, and I would encourage you strongly to watch those and to reach out and contact these two wonderful professionals if you have more questions about their services. And I would recommend all of our realtor clients and colleagues to investigate this further, because when it comes to real estate, whether it's the commission that you're receiving or whether it's the sales price that you're receiving, we all want to make sure we don't leave any money on the table or that we don't overlook the little things, right? It's always about the little things, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, especially when it comes to staging, I imagine.
Yes.
So, I'll personally be very interested to hear your sort of biographical segments in connection with this podcast. But I thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank
Thank you
Lynn.
for having us.
And I know Bree is thanking you from afar. And she'll be back. Bree will be back in several weeks. And we will have another Keeping Up with Len and Bree segment episode in January, I expect. So on that note, I think we'll probably sign off. and I wish you both a happy holiday season.
You
Same
too.
And I
to
hope
you.
you get plenty of rest and time with your families.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you again for being guests on our podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for watching, and that's episode 3 of Keeping Up with Len and Bree. We will be taking a break next week for the holidays, and we'll be resuming our regular broadcast in January. We look forward to seeing you then. Happy holidays.